We're getting back to our third and final race of the weekend for the AD Modular and Thermal Road Mazda MX-5 Championship season opener for this weekend. And after 2 victories in a row for Adam Sparrow, the man in silver and orange, I'll get that right, otherwise he'll tell me off, of the front row of the grid, he now starts once again as a result of his race 2 victory from pole for race number 3, and it is now this time the top 2 in terms of point scorers, which is Adam Sparrow and Steve Foden on the front row of the grid together. I got confused. I was looking at the points which John had up, and it had Ali Bray and also Neil Chisnell. Neil's on the second row of the grid, but not on the front row this time as he was on the first 2. Here's the lineup then. So Sparrow looking to go for the hat-trick from pole position again, with Steve Foden on the front row this time. Then it's Michael Taylor alongside Neil Chisnell from Richard Wootton and Michael Green, Matthew McCluskey and Paul Bateman from Harry Storer and Daniel Langiel. Then it's Paul Simard and Dennis Pilamonkin to round off the top 12 in the first 6 rows. Then it's Adam Craig, who starts 13th this time after coming from the back of the grid. He will start from row 7 alongside Chris Wright, then Tim Storer and Chris Thelwell, Peter Williams and Simon Privet, Bradley McLagan and Richard Bartlett, then Joshua Pato, Andrew Gilligan, David Sculler. And hopefully we've got a couple of cars that went out in race 1. Race 2 are back on the grid here. Dev Singal had an incident when he hit the barrier exiting the Agostini hairpin, and we saw both Jason Greatrex and Phil Rawson come off the road after they tangled on the approach to Richie's Corner on the first start of race 2 earlier on this afternoon. So hopefully all 3 cars, if they have been able to fix them, are at the back of the grid. I can see at least one of those AB Motorsport cars at the back of the field. So that's a positive sign. Whether it's either Dev Singal or it's Philip Rawson, one of the 2. It might be Rawson's car, because his car was relatively more undamaged, whereas Singal's car had more front-end damage after he hit the barrier. And I'd imagine Great Rex's car might well be there as well, I'd hope. So fingers crossed both of them are there too. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. Green flag in the air on the start gantry, which means that Adam Sparrow will lead the cars off for the formation lap for the third and final time, at least for the third and final race of their weekend here. And once again, Mazda MX-5 is proving to be as competitive and as exciting as ever. It's not our last Mazda MX-5 race. There's still one more coming up for the Clapham North Mazda MX-5 Super Cup, which will be coming up as our last race, timetabled and scheduled to be 6:05, because our curfew is 6:30. And in terms of the time, we're scheduled to start this race at 6:20. We're just about still on time as well, which is looking good. So again, despite some of the delays, ever ruthlessly efficient, the BRSCC keeping us on good time and keeping through the emotions. So it's good to see that we're keeping ourselves in good run. I've just seen also at the back of the field, we do have Grayson Greatrex and Phil Rawson, but as I possibly anticipated after those 2 AME cars that were caught up in race 2, Dev Singal's car, John, not making the start due to that front-end damage. It's a shame, but unfortunately they probably had to prioritise which car was in better shape, so therefore it was Phil's car that was going to go out on the grid for race number 3.
Yep, understandable for the team, but yeah, shame for Dev Singal not taking to the race start then here for the third and final one of the weekend here in the Ad Modular Mazda MX-5 Championship with Thermal Road as well. Of course, Jason Greatrex and Philip Rawson on the back row of the grid. They were both up in the top 8 in race number 1. Greatrex 5th, Rawson 8th. So considering they're now starting down on, if we're missing a couple ahead, maybe 24th and 25th place, it's going to be a tough run through the order, but they've got the pace of the drivers in the leading group. So I think definitely expect to see them cutting their way through here in the next 20 or so minutes. Yeah, Scott said 4:20 to start this one. And it's 4:19 at the moment, so BRSCC doing a great job. Everyone behind the scenes, all the marshals and everyone making sure that we're keeping on time here to keep to the strict curfew schedule here at Snetterton, and we should be able to squeeze in the last 4 races of the day. Of course, you've got this one here in the Mazdas, then the Fiesta S2 240s, then after, then the Caterhams again, the 6x150s, and then the MX-5 Super Cup to end off the day. But of course, 2 races already completed this weekend so far for the Ad Modular Mazda MX-5 Championships, and so far, it's been 2 wins for Adam Sparrow. Starts this one on pole. He would be surely the bookie's choice here for the race victory, but you just never know in Mazda MX-5, you just never know.
You do never know, and that's what we love about motorsport, the unpredictability that gives us in that sense, because of course it makes it exciting, it makes it, well, I said unpredictable, but it also makes it entertaining in those you're not quite sure what's going to happen and come up, and of course those different elements where you don't see it coming, that's what makes it pretty memorable in many cases when it comes to motorsport. So these 1.6 litre Mark 1 generation Mazda MX-5s make their way around. You can see both Jason Greatrex and Phil Rawson are back on the grid, so thankfully both of those cars are ready to go. So the only car we're missing from our 26 car entry is Dev Singal, so fortunately not making the start for Dev. He'll miss race number 3. And Phil Rawson, part of a couple of the drivers in the field who are racing as part of this new Mazda Youth Development Program, which has been launched in the past few weeks. Good to see we're trying to bring a few more drivers in that are of a younger generation to use it to run with Mazda MX-5s. But there's a bit of a stack up here, waiting for the cars to get themselves ready for the start. A couple of cars that are doing 1 or 2 warm-up of rear tyres, being rear-wheel drive, to get to the grid. But of course, remember, the cars at the front will be waiting for a while whilst the rest of this pack lines up behind. So 26 Mazda MX-5s lining up now for the final 20 minutes of action for their weekend. You can see in terms of a colour ID check, to quickly remind you, it is silver and orange on pole position on the left on the front row for Adam Sparrow. It's white and gold for Steve Foden, former champion in this championship before. You can't see him, but just hiding behind Steve Foden's car physically is the black and red machine of number 11, Michael Taylor, who took his first podium in race number 2. And watch for Neil Chisnell. He's got the red windscreen strip for Kumo tyres. That's for the Mazda MX-5 Clubman Championship. He is a guest who won't score points, but he's in the blue MX-5 with the red windscreen strip and the white wheels. Watch for him as well. And also Richard Wooten will be in the all green car. Dark green car in 5th on the grid. Watch for Michael Green in white, blue and green. Right, for the final time this weekend, the AD Modular and Thermal Heat Mazda MX-5 Championship is all set to go here at Snetterton for one final time for 20 minutes. And we're underway and racing. What a getaway initially from Steve Foden, but better for Adam Sparrow. He leapt off the line from the inside. But in the second phase, Stephen Foden tries to go with him. They're almost banging wheels, but he slots in behind the championship leader down towards turn 1. They're practically 4 almost 5 abreast down towards Richie's corner. That should never work, and it doesn't, because they all finally come to their senses and think that's not going to work, back out of it and get through turn 1 safely. And they do, down towards the hairpin, out towards Wilson for the first time. So Sparrow, he leads it, and look at the outside for second place goes Michael Taylor on Steve Foden, the former champion. So not afraid to battle him, because that's one of the AB Motorsport cars in the field. Michael Taylor, of course, with a well-sorted car underneath him. And up the inside for second place, he's put one over the champion. So past Steve Foden into second place, Foden down to 3rd, Chisnell down to 4th. But the fast-starting Taylor, John, making an impressive getaway. He's up into 2nd, but defending hard down towards Agostini.
Yeah, great start, trying to defend, just about closing off the inside line there as an attempt at the re-attack there from Steve Foden doesn't quite play off, and that might now play into the hands of Neil Chisnell behind. I initially thought that Neil Chisnell got the best start off of the grid, but in the 2nd and 3rd phase, as they went up the gears down towards Riches, didn't quite work out in the end, slots back into 4th place, and we're now already breaking away in the leading gaggle of 5. Is that Richard Wooten? I think it is, that's gone with them on the number 3, and then the number 2 of Matthew McCluckey heads up the next pack, as looking for the move there up the inside, just about leaning on each other, just about avoiding each other there through the right-hander of Hamilton's. That'll scupper their exit speed though, and watch the number 8 of Neil Chisnell. Who does he decide to push? He's going on the outside line.
He wants Foden, he wants to go with him, and also watch for Richard Wooten, who I said improved last year and became a regular front runner. He's proved that once again this weekend, in 5th position in the dark green car with the windscreen strip behind, number 3 at the back of this 5-car group in the lead. But Sparrow with a bit of breathing space on this opening lap. Foden back to 2nd. Chisnell in 3rd, guest driver, he won't score any points. He was only scoring for the MX-5 Clubman Championship yesterday. They had their 2 races, both won by Jordan Himley, the defending champion. This gaggle of cars here battling for. And in the mix there is Jason Greytrex. Look at that, squeezing past 50, which is Tim Storer. But not hanging around is Jason Greytrex. Remember, he started back at the back of the field in 25th position. He's about mid-pack already, so we'll keep ourselves where he ends up. Out of Murray's for the first time under racing speeds. Green, but Turner under threat from Taylor under threat from Richard Wooten as they come across the line. Sparrow has a 7/10 of a second lead as they start lap number 2. From Foden, Chisnell, then Taylor in 4th under pressure from Wooten. Next group headed by Matthew McCluckey. Then Paul Bateman in 7th place. Good to see him running well in the MX-5 Championship after he's been a regular race winner and title contender the last couple of years in the Clubman Championship. Harry Storer in 8th in one of the 2 Pucker Pie livery cars. One of the best liveries out there, or sponsors you can have for a race car, I'm pretty certain. And it's got, in fact, that's actually Storer going up the inside of Bateman, actually getting shoved out wide is Bateman also, for good measure, by Adam Crane. Now remember, he started at the back of the grid in race number 2, didn't start race 1, picked his way through the order, and he's now battling in the top 10 here. Round the outside goes Adam Crane. It's a 20-minute race, and into what is now, I think that will be, that's 7th place now. So up past, it'll be 8th, because Storer's got ahead of him and got past Bateman too, so he's still into 8th position now. There's the leading 5. And the next car to try and pass, if he can go with him, is going to be Harry Storer and then possibly Matthew McCluckey. And there's Paul Simard as well. Now, he's someone who Bateman's very familiar with, given that he's raced with a few times in Clubman last year. Simard was one of the best drivers last year. I think he was even rookie champion last year, if my memory serves me right. I think he was rookie champion last year. Got a couple of podiums and a couple of pole positions as well, a Frenchman. And now trying to pick his way past Bateman and put him down another position. Means he'll have lost 3 in 1 lap so far. As both Storer and Wootton chase after McCluskey. The rest of the battle in the top 10. Also right behind them quickly is the Daniel Lengyel car for Hills Motorsport as they go through, and that's a loop around for 178, which is Andrew Gilligan, who's got it running again, but facing the right way after he has spin. The waves of the marshals, I'm alright, I'm fine. He carries on up towards Oggies as the leaders head towards the bomb hole for the second time.
Indeed, off we go then. Well, it looks as though Foden and Chisnell have just started to reel back in. Adam Sparrow out at the sharp end. We'll keep our eyes on that squabble to see how that continues, whether Sparrow can once again break away or whether we see them go straight into a battle. Up the inside there at the bomb hole, the 33 decides to thread the needle and gets the move done then. Impressive stuff there up the inside, making a place at what is a very challenging corner. That's Greytrex continuing to find his way through the order as again hopping over the curb there at the final corner. It can scupper you though, because you lose that bit of momentum and suddenly you lose that all the way down the main straight and up through Riches, so it can really hamper you if you jump a little bit too eagerly over that inside curb. Looks as though they've all made it through cleanly though. What's the gap at the sharp end? Yeah, less than half a second between our top 3. I think this leading battle is just about to kick off. Say that though, it's pretty chaotic up and down the field here in the Mazdas, but what was I expecting?
Yeah, that was Des Pelamonca getting a little nerf in the rear from the 62, which was Chris Wright. And on the tail of him comes Philip Rawson, who starts at the back of the grid like Greytrex and moving with him pretty much almost in tandem. Down towards the hairpin, he might have the inside line to try and get a move and makes contact with Pelamonca. That's his teammate, awkwardly, so elbows him out of the way. Out you go, goes Dennis. And he loses 2 more spots, including, of course, 65, which is further back as well, which is the Peter Williams car, I think it is. Yes, Peter Williams is going down the outside of Pillabonkin now. 2 more AB Motorsport cars going into combat. This is also now going further forwards with Paul Simard and the Hills Motorsport car of Daniel Lengyel. Debut of the championship this weekend, and they've both passed Bateman, so Bateman's actually marching towards the back of the top 10 and further down the field as a result of all of this. Also in there too is the turquoise car Chris Thelwell. Watch for him. He's typically 577 is Chris Thelwell. He is again this year. So here come the leaders, just as I was about to think about them. So top 3 all together. It's then Taylor 4th, Wootton 5th, McCluskey still 6th, and Storer, Craig, Simard and Lengyel in that top 10. And now Foden lining up for a move down the outside. Chisnell will get the toe from both of them, but it's going to be side by side between the top 2 in the points so far. And Foden goes to the front. Can he possibly deny Sparrow? 3 from 3 here. If he holds where he is for the next 13.5 minutes, John, he can certainly manage it.
Yeah, straight around the outside before they even got to the braking zone there. Through Bundle and Nelson we go. For the first time this race, it's not Adam Sparrow leading the way, but he's going to do all that he can to get back into the lead of this one. Up and under he goes through the bomb hole. Has he got the overlap enough to send it up the inside? Not quite. Foden holds on to it, but here comes Chisnell, potentially looking around the outside here into Coram. We know how difficult that move is, and Chisnell's backed out of this time. I think probably the right idea there from Chisnell. There's still 13 minutes of this race to go. Well, with the gloves now being off between these top 3, potential for Taylor and Wootton to close back into these drivers as well, then only a few seconds back to the likes of McCluskey, Storer, Craig, Simard, and all of those drivers. But if it carries on like this, like I say, there's still 13 minutes left to go. If they continue chopping and changing at the sharp end, I'm sure, just like we saw in the Caterhams, add 2 more Mazdas, add 2 more Mazdas, add 2 more Mazdas as we continue to press on through this race then. But Foden, to be fair, there's been no immediate re-overtake here from Sparrow. Foden's doing well at the sharp end.
He's a former champion for a reason. He's certainly one of the best drivers out there in a Mark 1 that you can find, and certainly at the moment it seems that between these two initially it could well be for the championship, because as we mentioned, Neil Chisnell is only racing as a guest in the MX-5 championship this weekend. He's not scoring points, he's only scoring for the Clubman championship that was yesterday, so improving his pace, getting plenty of track time. It will have been a total of 5 races he's had this weekend, of course, in the MX-5, so that's number 8 car getting plenty of mileage around the 300 circuit. There is Michael Taylor, who took his first podium earlier on, as Chisnell looks for the attack on second place. Further back we see here, both Harry Storer in the white and orange pucker liveried car and also the charging Adam Craig, they've both got past Matthew McCluskey, so that's now them into 6th and 7th places respectively. I have to say, I think Adam Craig, given the way he started at the back of the grid, didn't start race 1, got himself mid-pack in race 2 and now into the top 10, possibly even on the fridge if he keeps on like this, maybe to get close to a top 5. Could be another unsung hero of the weekend. Top 3 nose to tail, they're literally so close you can throw a blanket over all of them. And Chisnell will get the double toe here. He'll watch what Sparrow does. Which way does he go? Well, Foden's defending on the inside line. If he finds a way to open up, he might dare the inside if he goes, but this time Sparrow decides to go outside towards the left of the complex of Brundle and Nelson. Under the bridge, they almost touch wing mirrors. And as they go through, Sparrow sweeps around on the outside of Brundle, has the inside for Nelson, flicks right over the curb, and gets back into the front of the race. So Sparrow once again takes the lead. Foden retaliates immediately. Chisholm watches back and waits for the two of them to make a mistake. And Foden goes round the outside in towards the bomb hole. That should be impossible, but it almost happens. They almost tap wing mirrors again, side by side through Core, and here comes Chisholm giving one of them a push. This is sensational. And Chisholm goes for second on the inside through Corum. He's got Sparrow moving around. He's defending from Foden. Chisholm gets them both on the inside line. Sparrow was so busy defending from Foden. Chisholm went, right, thanks for that, boys. See you later. Up the inside, he went with both of them into Corum and takes the lead of the race. Sparrow's right on his bumper again, and also Taylor's back involved. But that was beautiful racecraft from opportunistic driving from Neil Chisnell up into the lead, and Sparrow now sitting on his rear bumper.
We've had a few potential moves of the weekend, haven't we? That's definitely got to be up there from Chisnell. Amazing. Up the inside, that then went to the outside for the final corner and gets into the lead. Right then, new race leader, and it is, of course, Neil Chisnell in his blue Mazda MX-5. But he looks to defend then, holds the inside line as we head down into Wilson. And as you were gesturing to me, another driver's getting involved as well. This time the 11 of Michael Taylor, now getting back stuck in with this squabble for the podium. Goes a little bit too deep there into Wilson. Maybe a little bit too overexcited that he's suddenly in the leading battle. But he's there, he's getting stuck in, and we've still got just less than 10 minutes left to go in this race. To highlight, if we discount Chisnell, because he's not going to be getting any points. The first two races, the top three has been identical. Sparrow, Foden, Taylor as your top three. Well, all three of them are once again involved in this battle for the podium.
Indeed so. Of course, we've still got the second half of the race to go now. This is the battle we also need to be watching for sixth position between Harry Storer and Adam Craig. Now, lap time-wise, what are they doing at the moment? They're doing, last lap for Storer was a 2:21.3. Craig did a 2:20.9 that was a personal best. He's not lapping quicker than the four cars in front. In fact, only car he was on a similar pace to was ironically Sparrow, who did a 2:20.9, and Foden did a 2:21.6, but they were battling amongst each other, holding each other up through Corum that allowed Chisnell to get through. Out of Williams, top three again packing up. And now which way is Foden going to go? Which way is Sparrow gives the bump draft to Chisnell. Foden gives the bump to Sparrow. They're now literally, as one, it's a 12-wheeled Caterham Mazda down the back straight. And well, they're racing like Caterhams, of course, aren't they? But this is incredible stuff. And Taylor's not too far away either. It's his first weekend in the championship, and I think if I'm right, he's also got, he was wearing Ginetta overall, so he must be an ex-Ginetta racer. I'll look into that for some research later on. Mike Taylor, though, into MX-5s with an AB Motorsport car and doing quite a good job in itself, into fourth position. There, in fact, Craig has got past Storer, in fact. He's got through on the number 17 Pucker Pie car. And in the background, that is also Jason Greatrex passing Daniel Lengyel in the Hills Motorsport car. He's now up the inside and makes the move for what will now be, I think, 10th place, I think, because they've also passed Bateman on that lap as well. So 2 positions gained for Greatrex, up into the top 10 from the back of the grid. That's a good drive from him after he retired from race 2. Adam Craig, though, trying to pull away here and up into 6th position. So it's now a really good drive from Adam. And let's see what he has lap time-wise. Side by side for the lead again. It's now this time Sparrow down the outside. Chisnell capitulates, lets him have the outside line, sweeps across, and then Chisnell tried to hold the apex, ran wide on the exit, and this gives Foden the opportune chance he needs to go through. They're all tapping the brakes down towards, I think, to try and make sure they haven't got any pad knock-off. I think that's probably what they're doing. They're not braking several metres early. It's simply just making sure that the pads are there so they can actually hit the brakes when they do go in towards Wilson hairpin.
Yeah, don't mention pad knockoff to me, mate. That sends chills down my spine.
Was that to give you bad memories?
Yeah, that gives you bad memories. Anyway, 7.5 minutes left to go, and yep, nursing those brakes through to the rest of the race. Just making sure they're working into the braking zone for the 77, and they were. Gets it stopped, and into second place he goes under brakes then. So once more, Neil Chisnell shuffled back down into third place, and it's a return of Adam Sparrow back to the sharp end. Seen as well, Wootton making the most of the drivers squabbling ahead of him. He's closing back in as well, the fastest of the chasing drivers. And here we look back then to the 29, who heads up the next train. That is Adam Craig. They're in 6th place with Harry Storer. Harry's having a really good one in this. He's gained a few places off of the race start and battling really well in and amongst the top 10. But now that group closing in once more as well to becoming a group of 4 from 6th down to 9th. And then Greatrex still looking to hunt them down. As you mentioned, he's back up into the top 10, but I know he's going to want a few more places in this one as we bring it to a close. Top 5 heading down the back straight, and then closely followed here by the next group of drivers. There is Harry Storer in the middle of an MX-5 sandwich. We look back to our leaders though, and pressuring once again is Foden down into the braking zone. Can't quite make the move this time though. So for the moment, Sparrow still leads, a little bit wide over the exit curb there for Chisnell. He keeps it on. back on the black stuff he goes, and they continue on line astern, down through Cora once again. For the first time in a number of laps here, we've just settled back into pace amongst these leading four as they follow each other through. Oh, bit of a wobble mid-corner there for Chisnell. He did well to gather that up. You never want a wobble when you're mid-corner at Coram. That is a scary one, but the number 8, as I say, gathers it up and carries on, stays in the leading pack, and we press on then onto lap number 7 of this race. Just less than 6 minutes left to go. Sparrow leads us onto it, but will he lead us to the end?
Having looked it up, there's no wonder Mike Taylor is quite quick. He was the 2024 Ginetta GT Academy champion, so that's the reason why he's so quick, and no wonder on that side. I thought with Ginetta overalls counted for something. They absolutely do. So no surprises in 4th position. No surprises also there with an AB Motorsport car, considering how good they are typically. Here's the fight for 6th position, now between Adam Craig, Storer and McCluckey. Good one for McCluckey actually being in the top 10. He's made some good leaps and bounds in the last 12 months. We see here, once again, a little more tapping of the brakes, make sure there's no knock-off down towards the Wilson hairpin. Taylor, that was Storer trying to get back through again. Top 4 altogether now as they come back towards the Agostini hairpin. Look at Taylor making it was 3 abreast down towards Agostini hairpin. He tried to go to the inside line to make a move on both Foden and Chisnell, but Chisnell decides he wants the inside for Agostini. Almost leans on Foden through the middle of the corner, and on the exit gives him enough space. Taylor might give him a small bump draft. Looks inside, and and Foden moved across to try and get past Chisnell. Didn't realise that Taylor was right there trying to make a move on the overlap. There was a tiny piece of contact, but thankfully they both survived to live another day. But that could have been so much worse, John.
Yeah, that was a sudden deep intake of breath, and both of us in the commentary box there, but they managed to avoid each other, thank goodness, and we press on. Well, that lost them an ever so slight bit of momentum there through the middle section of the 300 layout. That's just given a bit of breathing room to Sparrow once again at the sharp end. Less than 5 minutes now left to go, ladies and gentlemen, but look here. Will we see Foden help Chisnell here? Yes, we will. Wanted to wait and see whether he dove to the inside line there, but he didn't. Foden pushes Chisnell, I should say, down the back straight. Try and close back up to your race leader of Adam Sparrow. And as we see, the ex-Ginetta driver of Taylor close in behind. Yeah, very impressive race from him so far. Well, as these 4 were squabbling, well, maybe like 3 or so laps ago, Wootton was catching back up to them, but as they've sorted themselves out, he's once again just dropping ever so slightly up at the top 4. What a move that was from Harry Storer. He gets it done, under brakes there into Nelson, move made, and up into the top 6 he goes. Move made on Craig there, and they've still got McCluckey and Simard with them for company as well. These 4 going at it with just as an exciting race as we have at the sharp end. Sadly for these drivers, it's not for the overall podium, but I'm not sure they mind too much about that. The battle's still raging on here from 6th place backwards, and finally, for the first time, it's Storer into it. We're side by side for the lead though. Round the outside will go Chisnell, almost making contact there as they head through Riches. Does Chisnell have the overlap? Can he close the door? Not quite. Sparrow still with the inside line. They dive onto the brakes once more here, down into Wilson. It'll be a little bit wide for Chisnell, and now a race for 2nd place off of the corner.
Near Chisnell, a reminder, because Simon Waterfall will tell me, and you might have to tell me on private message whether it was Clubman or Championship, but he has 1 race win in BRSC Mazdas, Alton Park in the West in 2022. He's yet to win another race in Mazda MX-5s. We'll wait and see if he can do that in this one, of course, although he will be a guest, so he won't score any points, but he will get the trophy. That might be all that matters to him. Down towards the complex into the Agostini hairpin they'll come. And Foden again has the inside line. It's now roles reversed this time as it was a lap ago. It's now Chisnell on the outside line, and it's now Taylor looking at both of them in front thinking, hold a minute, I've recognised this situation before, but now in a different order. It's now Chisnell now who's back to 2nd place. Sparrow hasn't got away from them on this penultimate lap of the race because they are going to go on to the last lap of the race next time they go past the pits. And this top 4 is certainly proving why Mazda MX-5 racing is some of the best you'll find in the country. Now, there's a slippery surface flag down at Oggie's Corner.
It's been out for a little while, I think, a few laps at least.
Yeah, but that was also out in the, I'm sure, the catering on the catering race as well. So that's interesting. Well, there's some fluid down that they haven't quite cleaned up, or something else has happened that's caused it to be a little bit slippery. Down the back straight they come again. Chisnell again with the bump draft on the back of Sparrow's bumper. Which way does he go? Outside or inside? There's a small gap on the inside, but it's going to be outside for Chisnell. You can pass around the outside into Brundle. He might try it. They'll give him the inside for Nelson, but he's not far enough alongside to make it stick. He'll get a good bit of momentum off the corner if he can. Uses all the curb on the exit. Now back through in towards the bomb hole again. 4 of them for the lead down towards there. Further back, this is Storer and Craig going at it for 6th still, because they're quite a few seconds back behind Richard Wootton. I imagine all this battling has kept them further back. And also in there too now is the recurring Paul Simard. He's caught Matthew McCluskey and passed him. And he's now on the back of these two, battling over 6th and 7th. He's now into 8th and looking to try and make a move. Right, on to the last lap of the race we go then. Let's see if Sparrow can make it the hat-trick. If Chisnell can try and make it a second win in Mazda MX-5s in BRCC circles, will the Fogue get a first win of the season and try and hold on? He gets second place. He runs down the back pit straight on the outside. Let's see what he can do here, John. With a lap to go, it's all action stations for the victory.
Indeed, final lap here then at Snetterton, and we roar onto it with these four still absolutely going at it to see who gets the third win of the weekend. Of course, it's 2 from 2 for the moment from Sparrow. Let's see if one of these drivers behind can spoil his party, or can he make it the perfect triple for the first outing here at Snetterton in the Ad Modular Mazda MX-5 Championship. We continue to press on then. Out of Wilson's we go, down into the left of Palmer, and it's still Sparrow in the hot seat there out front. Now Chisnell back up to second place. Foden's still there in third, and Taylor's just been sitting back, hasn't he? Trying to get involved here and there, but the best seat in the house here for this battle for the lead. And if it all goes wrong here on the final lap, Taylor is perfectly placed to make up for it. Round the outside there, tries Chisnell, down at Agostini, but again, doesn't work. Can't quite get the momentum out the corner. They stay as they were as they head through the fast left-hander of Hamilton's. But really, crucially, as you said, not only in the Mazdas, but across loads of classes this weekend, it's going to be this exit out of here, out of Oggies, then through Williams, carrying as much speed as possible, and then the strategy of who do I defend on for Adam Sparrow? Who is he going to defend on? Which way does he go?
I think the danger man could be Steve Foden because he's got that double toe for the two cars in front. How much more does Chisnell close in under the slipstream? He does close pretty strongly, but look at Foden. Which way will he go? He might follow exactly the route that Chisnell does, or go the opposite route and give Sparrow really something to think about. He chooses to go with Chisnell down the outside line. He gives the bump draft down the outside. He might have the line to go through. Has the inside line for the next corner at Nelson. Has the line, has the position. Foden has to capitulate, and so does Sparrow. Through he goes, and Sparrow drops back to second, down to third, down to fourth. In fact, he's lost out. Is that a problem or just momentum? I'm not quite sure, but Chisnell will go to the front through the bomb hole over a couple of corners to go into Corman Moses. That's all that's left, and it could be two corners between a second career Mazda MX-5 victory for Neil Chisnell or a first of a season performer champion Steve Foden. It's going to be through the corner for the final time, holding to the inside line, under brakes, one corner left to go, flick it left, now punch it on the throttle, up the pit straight, up through the ears again, after coming close so many times in this weekend, on a couple of occasions. It will be, after 3 years of asking, it's going to be a second victory in the championship and in Mazdas for Neil Chisnell. He wins this weekend in race 3 of the weekend in the AD Modular and Thermal Road Mazda MX-5 Championship. He's delighted with the victory, but of course being a guest, it means he doesn't take the points, which means actually the points victory goes to Steve Foden. And the extra bonus point for fastest lap means he gets 101 points from that race. That's crucial for the championship. It's the second for Foden, third for Taylor, fourth for Sparrow in the end. Richard Wooten gets fifth, and Adam Craig from the back of the grid initially from race 2 to 13th at the end, and from 13th to 6th in the end for race 3. That's a really good recovery drive from him after he didn't even start race 1 into P6. That's a really strong one. And of course, 5th in point scorers too. That's a nice result for him to take home. 7th goes to Harry Storer, 8th to Matthew McCluskey, 9th to Paul Simard, and 10th to Jason Greatrex. We should shout out him and Rawson from the very back of the grid, from the back row, 10th and 11th respectively. That's excellent stuff. But Neil Chisnell, he's waited about 3 and a bit years for that one, and finally, for the second time in his career on a BRCC Mazda podium, he's on the top step.
Yet again, another nail-biting race there in Mazda. So exciting all the way through the final lap there. Honestly, it's a little bit of a shame that we're not going to be speaking to Adam Sparrow, because I'm interested to hear what happened there on the final lap. Just a little bit slow off of the exit of Nelson. Just bogged down through there, lost all the speed. Not sure if it was a missed gear or what happened there for Sparrow. But as we say, lost all of his speed, got absolutely driven past by Chisnell, Foden and Taylor, and they were off to the races. He lost a good 2 seconds on that last lap alone, comparatively to his usual pace, but he couldn't quite make it. The perfect triple here at Snetterton to kick off the season, but 2 wins and a 4th place, and well, 3rd actually in terms of points. I think he'll still be pretty happy with that, won't he? He'll definitely be leading the championship once all is said and done, but finally he gives the opportunity for someone else to stand at the top step of the podium. As we say, in terms of points, that will be Foden, but on circuit it was Chisnell. What a battle all the way through to the line. Just over 1.5 tenths of a second between Chisnell and Foden as they did see that checkered flag, and lovely to see the celebrations from Chisnell there as he crossed the line. Neil deserved that victory. To be fair, I say deserve. All 5 of them in the front group deserve that victory. What a great race.
Amazing stuff. And the Mazdas, of course, will continue on. They'll go to their next round in a few weeks' time. Of course, we'll come to that later on when we wrap up the programme later on this afternoon. But for our third AD Modular and Thermal Road Mazda MX-5 Championship race, it is a second career win for Neil Chisnell in Mazda MX-5 circles in BRSUC. He wins, but only just less than 0.2 of a second from Steve Foden, who will take the points win, given that Neil Chisnell is running as a guest, so is invisible to scoring. Third to Michael Taylor, fourth to Adam Sparrow, and the rest of the field coming through from fifth. That was Richard Wootton, and sixth for Adam Craig, and I would give you the rest, but they've gone straight to the SU240 on the timing screen, so the rest of the order being run through on the screen here from 13th downwards. You can see also running into the top 10 again, kudos to both Philip Rawson and to Jason Greatrex to get themselves into the top 11 from the back of the grid after they retired from race number 2. So we can quickly, I think, run down in a moment